zillion. The question is, who let the dogs out? 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 Who let the dogs out?
Welcome to Turbo's Hot Seat. Now, normally I strap one Coody player into the hot seat, but today I'm doubling down where I turn up the heat on not one, but two SFA identities. Now, last year I had Noobzor in the hot seat, and he challenged Miggs to a seat, and he said there's no way he'll turn up because he's a keyboard warrior. Well, Noob's got it wrong, and not only did Miggs sit in the hot seat, he dropped a bomb on Noobs by calling him out on a dog act that ended in Noobzor melting and denying horrific claims against his character made by Niggs. So SFA, I decided the best thing to do to stop this simmering tension between Noobzor and Miggs is to bring them together on this show, to clear the air, settle this for once and for all. Let bygones be bygones. So, welcome to the show again. Miggs, how are you, buddy?
Good, Turbo. How are you, mate?
I'm going well. Just doing my bit for peace within the SFA. You know, it is being 245 kilos of love muscle. I'm just doing the thing.
Well, if anyone could bring us together, it'll be you. So Let's see how we go.
Now, this is unbelievable, people. Noobzor's bloody dogged it again. He's coming on the show. Oh, does this shock you, Mix?
Standard K9.
Oh, fuck. So anyway, the show's got to go on. So in the interest of a balanced program, we've brought in a substitute for Noobzor. Obviously, he's not man enough to come in here and face Mix. So he thought, we need a support team for Noobzor. So Blacky has kindly reached out saying he's that man. So welcome, Blacky.
Thanks, mate. Don't know how I feel about being the noob substitute. It's not really what I signed up for, but for a second there, I thought you were going to get me to pretend to be him, and I was thinking, I'm a reptile dog. Getting myself in the right frame of mind.
Reaching for the Wiggle soundtrack.
All right. Well, at least you know the guy, so it's good. So here we go. So the first part, we're going to talk about Noobzor. Let's talk about the dog in the room. Who let the dogs out? Noobzor. Now, Miggs, can you just refresh our listeners on the horrendous story you passed on last time?
Well, I've been racking my brain. I'm not too sure which story it was. There's been that many. They've all sort of merged into one big canine act. So I thought I'd bring a bit of fresh content.
Yeah.
One of the fresh dog acts that people don't know about. So basically, me and Blackie have got this sort of semi-regular golf game down at a local course. Much to Noobs' chagrin, he never got an invite. Pestered us for weeks and weeks. Kept throwing it at us. Oh, we're too scared to play against him because he's off single figures. We're dodging him. We're ducking him. So we finally invite him. I think it was probably a Friday, 4 o'clock tee off like normal. 3 o'clock comes around, message in the group chat. Oh, my car's broken down. Tries to pull out the old fuel pump's broken. He even goes as far as to send us a video of him turning the key in the car and showing us that it won't start, but he didn't turn it all the way on. It was just going accessory off, accessory off. Yeah, so that's one that sticks out in my mind. I don't know about Blackie, but what's your favourite dog act?
I'd have to say I think that Ford Laser's the oldest thing he's ever been in.
So pure canine. So Blackie, what experiences you had with Noobzor? Has he been doing dog acts on you?
Oh, absolutely. He dodges rounds like Muhammad Ali dodges Vietnam Wars. One of my favourites was we went down to the pub to have dinner one night, and my wife was good enough to drop us at the pub, and his missus was actually shopping at the shopping centre we were at the time. And then when it went time to leave, he told us that she was giving him a lift home, but that we weren't welcome to one, even though it was on the way.
Oh, you're kidding.
It is not happening.
It is not happening.
So has she met you? Has the wife met you?
Yeah.
So is that why she doesn't want to take you?
Oh, potentially. But I mean, am I worse than a kitty fiddler? That's where my mind goes. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea.
Or a blood-sucking Nosferatu. I'm not too sure you're worse than that either.
But Turbo, at that very establishment, sometime later, probably 18 months, Mick, we went there again for dinner, and the canine acts kept coming. Miggs went to the bar to get a drink, and I went to the bathroom. And Miggs left his wallet at the table with Noobs, so he threw it under another table of people. Just thought, it'd be funny, he won't be able to find his wallet, but he literally threw it on the ground under a table full of people. Most people would have just put it in their pocket or hid it under some napkins.
Yeah.
Not our favourite canine.
And he threw it under a booth full of the trashiest fucking white boganist people he could have found in the establishment. It's a wonder that it wasn't light when I retrieved it.
Oh, fucking dog act. Now,
absolute pain on.
Now, listeners, before you all get all up in arms about this, Noobsaw was PM'd repeatedly about this show, wasn't he?
Repeatedly.
You're part of it. Yeah,
Yep.
So trying to get them together so he could put his opinion forward. So if he wants the keyboard warrior and then start responding to this bloody podcast afterwards, that's another dog act, Noobsaw. So just
add it to the list.
Yeah, just add it to the list. Righto. So before we move on from this, getting over the situation, is there anything else you'd like to say about it?
I'm not over it.
Aren't you?
No, absolutely. This is not cathartic enough. He needs to be here to be on the receiving end of it.
Well, do you reckon he would though? It doesn't seem to have the ball. He's like a neutered dog.
Yeah, he's been spayed.
And it sounds like what you're saying. The missus got the collar on him too, so he's pretty well on the chain.
Needs to be chemically castrated, but
Right.
He's the only dog not allowed within 400 feet of a park.
All right. Look, we'll get on to some general questions. We can come back to Noobsaw.
We'll be coming back. We'll be coming back. Don't worry,
I'll go on to some general questions because once people knew that you two were coming on the show, there's been a few rolling out. So Chipmunk wants to know how many nuts his soul is worth. So you two.
You can take this one, Mix.
I'm not too sure who Chipmunk is, or I think he just wants to get his name on the show. So I'm going to go with 3. I don't no idea.
Righto. Natural Dumbass wants to know if Blacky is as much of a jerk in the chat as he is in the post.
In the post? What is he, Carl Malone, is he?
That's what he got to say, Blacky. As much as a jerk?
Well, I tried to answer this already, and he said I wasn't qualified to, so I think Miggs is going to have to say this one. I've got my view, though.
He's much worse in real life and the chat than he is on the forums.
I agree.
Just for example, we're down at the driving range. Poor bloke's there testing it at his new clubs. He's of a certain persuasion. And Blacky just throws the old, who's this monkey magic looking, So he's just very, very, very nasty in person.
The halfback wants to know if Miggs has been any quality caravan parts lately.
Not since I changed travel agents, no.
Righto. Blacky, considering you treated Santos so unfairly, how is your apology coming along? Understanding Santos's typical benevolent manner, he's happy with an apology that doesn't need to be too long, just heartfelt.
Oh, is there a person whose opinion of themselves is higher in the league than Santos? Has anyone ever noticed that he left? Miggs would know that I don't give apologies at the best time, so he's going to be waiting a long time.
So do you feel at all any remorse about the treatment of Santos?
I do, actually. It should have been worse.
Righto. Miggs, Blacky asks, what do you consider the appropriate attire for a black tie formal wear event?
Well, my usual go-to is a black V-neck, $11 Big W beat V-neck from Mr. Big. Team that up with a pair of black slacks, probably some Terra Cash slip-ons.
So what sort of slacks though? Polyester, like something with a bit of shine, or?
Very, very polyestery with the creases in the front that you can't iron out either.
That's good.
They're the ones.
This. Nice.
No belt, just hanging off. That's my usual go-to to black tie events.
And what was the wildest event you went to in 2019? And why is it Noobsaw's Bucks?
It was a ripper of a bucks. I'm sure Blacky can attest. A few good stories come out of that night. A certain captain of the SFA refused a beer from a stripper. Then as soon as she was out of sight, he jumped into the esky and grabbed one for himself. So I don't know whether he was a bit scared to talk to someone of the opposite gender or not. But
why did you name names? Why are you being embarrassed?
Oh, it was the filth wizard.
Oh, the filth.
The filth wizard, yeah. And another unnamed poster because I love this guy. Soon as the strippers turned up, we sort of had to do a bit of a whip around to encourage them to get further undressed.
I understand. Been to a few of these.
Yeah. And this bloke, quicker than you can, anything, he's grabbed the 50 out of his wallet and he's chasing her around I don't even know where it was, the Italian club at some soccer club, I'm not sure. Chasing her around the room, oi! Trying to get her attention. So he was probably MVP of that night, but I won't name names.
That obviously wasn't Noobsall because he pulled money out of his wallet.
No, she was over. and
believe it or not, she didn't accept moths.
Blacky, Miggs wants to know who's the better dribbler, Ben Simmons or Natural Dumbass?
I would legitimately think that ND is the biggest dribbler I've ever met in my life. He is Harlem Globetrotter. You'd pay anything to see him go toe-to-toe with the Washington Generals.
Miggs, the halfback wants to know, how are things with you and the parrot? She seems not to have a clue who you were when I asked Saturday.
Yeah, well, the parrot and I were sort of taking a bit of a break at the moment. I had a bit of a habit of calling her Bernice during love making, so she wasn't too keen on that. Threw a bit of a spanner in the works. So, yeah, I haven't seen her for a month or two.
But there's rumours going around that there's another girl that's cropped up on the halfback's social media that you might have your eye on, Miggs. Any comment on that?
No.
I'm not too sure. I have to have another look this evening, but I'm not too sure which one you're referring to. There's a few on there.
I think it was the half chick.
Oh, the half chick?
The half chick.
Not too sure, Blacky.
I like where this is going.
You're
Okay. Blue Theory wants to know, besides the filth wizard, who else forms the BC and does it still exist?
You want that one, Blacky, or do you want me to?
Okay. I think we're probably as best placed to answer it as each other. Neither of us have been in the chat for a while. I think it's just them sharing how to cook steak recipes at this stage.
Well, yeah, I mean, it still exists, but Pants Cole's, doing his best job at trying to kill it by adding a million blokes that don't deserve to be in there. So watch this space. I don't think the BC will be around much longer if the old redhead's in charge.
So you two blokes are in the BC?
Blacky.
Well, I mean, we're still in the chat, but we just haven't been posting in there for a while. There's quite a few different splinter chats for various different interests, be it soccer, football, sending pictures of Asian girls' Instagrams.
Yeah, skinning human beings by Papa Jugs.
Well, Blacky, you've been called the natural dumbass of the boys' club. So is it fair, or do you need me to dumb down the question before you answer?
Oh, look, I can dress myself, so I'm at least one rung higher than our friend ND. Who am I to say, though? You can never really be too sure. Miggs, who would you say is the worst addition to the boys' club in your time?
The worst addition? It's probably a recent one. Harry 007, is it? Or 0007, or the idiot from the Melbourne board. This bloke, I made the mistake of following him on Instagram. He's got his tongue pierced, first of all, tongue stud that he likes to poke out with selfies daily on his story. Every meal he eats or orders, no matter it's a $3 fucking banh mi or a $35 palmy, he'll post it on Instagram. And he drives a Mazda MX-5 too, so that's all you need to know about the bloke. And to top it off, he's fucked more Indians than COVID.
So do you think the BC's had its day then? That its days of influence are gone?
I think they'll always have some influence. But, my view is that it probably has peaked, but in my view, it probably peaked at the same time as the league. But people enjoy different things. I'm sure there's people out there who think the league's peaking currently, probably natural disaster for one. That's probably all you need to know.
So, well, no, there's a few more things. Like, which prominent BC member has a certain fetish for positioning himself under a staircase for upskirt views at meetups?
Oh, there is a story that goes along with that. So basically, Lunity comes over to Perth for, I can't remember what it was for, but so we rock up to this nice little barbecue place. Where was it? In Mount Lawley or somewhere like that. As usual, Canine dogs the bill. Blacky's got to pay for it. We stumble across the road to, I think it was the Queens or the Scotsman or somewhere like that. I head straight for the toilets. Blacky and Noobs are up there ordering a beer. So it's up to Loons to find a table for us. So I come out of the toilet and look around, and there's Loons sitting at the table, positioned right next to the spiral staircase going upstairs. And all he's doing is just looking to the heavens with a little sheepish grin on his face. So we caught him out there, and it was a bit awkward sitting there because, yeah, obviously you could nothing left to the imagination. So that was Lunity, that one.
Right, I love it. Now, which semen demon turns into an aggressive ladies' man after sinking a couple of cans whilst online gaming?
That's for Blacky, that one.
I actually don't know who it is. Is it fucking Demon Jim?
It's Demon Jim, 100%.
His behaviour after he's had a couple of rum and cokes on the party chat is deplorable.
What was it? Golf 2K21 was it, or whatever that?
Yeah. And he was singing "All the Ladies Want to Suck Jim's Dick," and there were no ladies on the party chat. It was a bunch of middle-aged blokes.
She boys?
Potentially.
Yeah.
So, who sleeps with threes and claims them as tens?
That's probably the most obvious answer. All the halfback.
Yeah, I was going to say it could be anyone, but then I'd say most of the league's probably not sleeping with anyone.
No chance at all.
So it does narrow it down.
Yeah.
Well, I like this. We're giving the BC, to the public, so they get to have a better understanding of who these upskirting semen demons are.
We're peering behind the curtain like it's a skirt at the Queens.
Who has the meanest tennis backhand?
Well, the league might not know this, but Gollumless was actually on the verge of state selection for tennis. He was pretty close. He's posted all of his training and camp and like workout camp photos in the chat. He's a pretty heavy hitter in his day, so he's pretty close to the state level rep teams, but I think he just fell short. I think he focused on studies instead, so that's Gollumless.
All right,
Yeah. So
when you said who's got the strongest backhand, I thought you were talking about SM when his missus doesn't do the dishes.
Miggs, Blacky wants to know who from the BC cooks the best steak and is generally the most proficient around a standard barbecue.
Standard barbecue, probably Pants Kyle, because a day doesn't go by if he doesn't post a photo of his $120 steak, and then proceeds to butcher it on the Weber, cooking it at the wrong temperature. Just cooks the shit out of it. The only thing cooked worse than that's probably Noobs or on the glass barbecue. Just before his exile to, where is he, New South Wales or Vic or somewhere like that. He was hitting the pipe pretty hard, so poor bugger.
He was hitting the pipe more than Tony Hawk at one stage for a while there.
So, Blacky, being Noobs' representative, have you got anything you want to say to Miggs about the fact that he's been, basically casting dispersions upon your character, saying you're a low-life bastard who doesn't pay your shout and you run out? How would you like to, answer those accusations?
I think I'd like to answer that with a story, to be honest.
Yeah.
It would probably be remiss of me not to mention the one occasion where Miggs and I have held our own in dogging Noobs, and that was when we found out that he was he'd gone to Queensland. Now he kept that to himself and tried to actually tell us he'd gone to Victoria.
Yeah.
But he'd actually gone to Queensland. The reason he didn't want to tell anyone he'd gone to Queensland is because he didn't want to catch up with one Papa Jugs. Now, I had a feeling because he'd mentioned a couple months earlier that he was going to Queensland. So I thought, I bet he's actually there. So what I did was I called the place where he works, the Queensland office, and asked if I could speak to Noobsor. And the kind young girl at the reception said, no problem at all. I'll just put you through. It rung out, but that was a signal that he was actually there. So we let Papa Jugs know that he was going to be there. Noobs was leaving the next day, and Miggs and I said we'd pay for his bus ticket to go to the airport and surprise him. And look, I don't know how much you know about Puppy Jugs, but he's a lovely, lovely bloke. But he's not the type of person that you'd want your work colleagues to meet. You know, especially if they're the type of people who watch Crime Stoppers or any, you know, serial crime dramas or any true crime dramas.
Through fear of
They
eating
might
your
recognise
workmates.
him. Yeah. You know, if you listen to Case Files or My Favourite Murder, you probably know him. So old mate rocks up at the airport and is trying to find Noobs. It's the biggest meltdown of anyone I've ever seen in my entire life. He was smashing more bottles of red at the airport than you have today, Turbo. And he absolutely melted up in the chat. And I will send you through some screenshots because it is fucking hilarious.
Oh, good hell. I love it. So have we got much hope with Noobs? How do we, all right, he's got a problem, obviously. How do we fix it? What do we do? How do we support
The Green
him?
Needle.
The Green Needle. It's that easy, is it?
And I'm just waiting for him to go to the big farm in the sky. That's about it. So it's fingers crossed.
So no hope.
No hope at all. Lost cause, downward spiral, all those cliches.
Now, I think you said he was into you for about 250, wasn't he, Mix?
Oh, I lost count at about 400.
400.
I'm not even including the money that those fucking white trash bogans probably lifted out of my wallet when he threw it under the table. So,
and Blacky, what do you reckon you're roughly owed?
Oh, look, cash-wise, it's probably a few hundred, but I consider my time to be pretty valuable, and he's wasted quite a bit of that.
Jesus. And then, I mean, should the public feel sorry for this guy, or should they actually be, you know, getting the flaming torches and pickets and on his head? Where you guys sit with this? What do you reckon the SFA public should make of this?
I think there should be a charity match. There should be a charity match on the board within the next 2 weeks, try and reimburse us for the pain and suffering that we've caused, to be honest.
So you reckon we should go funja?
Yeah, and if there's, you know, they can reuse the brown dog badge.
You beat me to it.
All right. So, all right. Do you reckon the SFA public are going to run with it?
I wouldn't have thought so.
No, I wouldn't have either.
Although if you do offer a badge, I'm sure some reprobates out there will donate a bit of money just to get a nice badge on their account, just quietly.
Everybody loves a badge. So, Miggs, the Bombers.
Yep.
What's going on with yous? This year, or this season, you know, like I'm looking at the coach and Tony and Kofi and, you know, players I really love to get in there with. They all seem to be just not around anymore. What's going on?
Yeah, all the senior posters are sort of taking a back seat, letting the young fellas come through. We've got Mitzi, we got Blue all through, a few other guys there that carrying the load. So the club's in good hands. So when Tone comes back, when the coach comes back, when myself, I might get a bit more time to post. Yeah, the club's in good hands, so I'm confident.
But all those players, which is, you know, almost half your playing list, are they going to actually come back in, or are they just sitting in the background because they've lost interest?
No, they'll come back. They always touch base in the PM just to let us know they're still there. Either busy with work or personal problems going on, a few medical dramas. So obviously real life takes precedent above a fantasy football game. So once that's all sorted, they'll come back and we'll be stronger than ever.
Because you'd agree that the Bombers aren't the force they were, say, maybe 3 seasons ago?
It's a different force. It's not the same aggressive, sort of abrasive, instigating force, but they're doing a good job. The young fellas there are, you know, representing the jumper pretty well. So,
oh no, you got some good talent in there. I've really enjoyed them, but it's just that your old part, your stalwarts of the game are not there. That's all I'm looking at. And what about you, Blackie? Royals, you happy with this year?
I think it's hard to back up from a premiership, to be honest. Where do you go from there? Where do you go from potentially having one of the best teams ever? It's hard to find the motivation after that. But
Blackie.
I think it's completely reasonable. I will say on the Bomber side, though, I think Harrowlad's due back next season, isn't he? That'd be a boon.
Hoping.
And do you reckon he'll have the same impact now that he's got a rep? Because now he's sort of coming in with a rep. It's a bit different to just becoming the rep.
I don't think his reputation does him justice. He will eat some of these new people alive.
Will he have
And
the
they
hunger
won't
for
even-
it though? That's the point. Will he?
Yeah, I mean, he's always enjoyed picking on people for sport. I think he will. He will pick some of these people apart. It'll be a sight to behold.
Well, it's something the SFA is crying for. We don't have enough villains now. But unfortunately now the villains get kicked out. Like they don't want the bad side anymore. It's all PC goodness.
We can thank Natural Retard for that. I went onto the Richmond board. I don't even know what I said on the Richmond board, but he fucking carded me. That was it. I was out for another week.
Yeah, but I went on the Carlton board and I got 2 weeks for that.
Yeah, no, they're just weak pricks, that's all. Yeah. I thought about going on the Eagles board today about the old genius Willie Rioli, but yeah, no, I thought better of it. You never know.
So do you think Harry Lade will be able to maintain his rage and survive?
He'll last half a season at least, as long as he takes out a few names on the way. I don't mind. I know he's got a few lined up for when he comes back, so yeah, watch that space.
Well, that's good because he's got history, so and that's a great thing. So look forward to that.
And he's up there easily top 5 poster of all time. Him and Brad on the Mount Rushmore, so it'll be good to have him back.
Yeah, no, well, that's one of the things they've talked about this season. It's been so sanitised. So, but then you look at blokes like Santos. You know, I mean, he got taken out, and and I consider what he was doing as pretty, pedestrian. It wasn't particularly savage. Don't you think he was a bit unjustly kicked out?
I think the problem is and you need to go back and read it because what Harry Lab was doing is chalk and cheese to what Santos is doing. Harry Lab was like meticulously picking people apart and doing it well within the site rules for most of it, whereas Santos just goes on and calls someone a mongoloid. Like anyone could do that.
Nothing wrong with that.
But he apologised, didn't he, sort of?
I think his apology's coming at the same time that mine for him is.
Righto. All right.
Well, if I can post a micro penis on the board and still get let back in, then,
Well, look at Josh Woodenspoon with his gay porn. We got it.
Yeah, he was a good poster. He should come back as well.
He is coming back.
Yeah,
he's coming back, is he?
Yeah,
Good. Yeah.
He's come back next. I have no problem with that. What I'm saying though is he posted gay porn, and yet they've reinstated his account. So that tells me that it doesn't matter whether you get perma banned, you can come back.
Exactly. Everyone but LW. So which probably frees him up to head. It probably frees him up to head down at Bunnings and finally sort that manhole in his roof.
Righto, guys. So I think what have we worked out with Nizel? He's just a fucking canine, isn't he? There's just nothing we can do.
Just a dog. That's all he is.
Righto. So do you still go out with him? Do you still have a beer with him?
Well, he's fled the country, fled the state, so he didn't have to pay for his bar tab. I think he's over in your neck of the woods now. He's definitely on the East Coast somewhere, racking up a bar tab. Yep, he's just drive slowly past some primary schools and listen for the beeping. You'll probably find out where he is.
So, Miggs, just as a final, trying to have a closure to noobs.
Canine, if you're out there listening, stay on the East Coast because you're not welcome back in Perth.
Righto. Now, Blacky, as the noobs or stand-in, would you like to respond?
I just echo that sentiment. Noobs, we had some good times. You weren't there. We had some bad times. And you were flying the flag. Nah, look. His Bucks party was one of the most interesting nights of my life. I'll never forget it. I look forward to the next one.
Righto. Well, it's all we can do, SFA, to try and put this to rest. And I think we've done that. I think we've been really compassionate. We've considered both sides of the story, and it's quite clear that Noobs was a fucking dog act.
Just one more thing, Turbo. I'm actually going to start writing a blog. It's going to be called The Chronicles of Miggs, and it's going to highlight all the dog acts that Noobs has actually inflicted on me and Blacky. So stay tuned. Be nice to one another, and check out my blog when it's done.
I don't want to name names. Is that how it's going to start? I don't want to name any names.
I don't want to name any names, but Noobs pretty much. So keep your eyes tuned. Yeah, it's coming. So look
So
forward
that
to it.
works out all right. You go, I don't want to name any names, but because the but legally just means you can call names.
But this certain Port Adelaide supporter that's in the SFA is on a sex offenders register and has moved to the East Coast recently. That should
I thought you were going to say
nicely.
the Philippines for a second.
So yeah, so that's what the but does. If you know, hypothetically what we're talking about, you could say that. So, all right. So thank you.
It certainly feels dispelled, which is good.
Next time we go out, we'll just make sure Noobsaw's not in our shout.
Exactly. Yep.
No, he can get it first round. He's the type of bloke you'd leave at a pub crawl.
They say the SFA season is lacking luster, and as the saying goes, the fish rots from their head. So I'd like your opinion on the captains and VCs of each club so we can either prove or disprove this saying. So we'll start off. Wonders, we've got Captain Hado and Kadaski. What do you think of them, guys?
Yeah, I don't mind Hado after he's, obviously he's had his personal stuff going on. It's good to see him come back, and Kadski's a swan, so I've sort of got to back him up, even though he's got the worst name change in the history of the SFA.
Well, that's why I don't call him that anymore. I just call him Kadaski because that's just what we know. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I just echo that too. Where do people come up with these names? It's in the vein of Red Squirrel, unfortunately.
Righto, Furies, you got me and Ned.
The most retarded duo
Chalk
since
and
Harry and
cheese.
Marv. Yep.
Yeah,
One of them's just a full-blown fucking retard, and the other one's Ned.
Yeah. I mean, Ned Flanders slips into my DMs all the time. I think, I can't even remember what the last one was, but what's your problem with me? And I think last time we spoke, I was sort of flavour of the month with the Sturge and those sort of guys, but haven't anything from Sturgey for a while. So if you're out there, Sturge, just slide in. You're always welcome.
He's about. Roy's, Ted, Doug, Chris, and VC's Mobs.
Inoffensive, but, what can you say? Mobs, league legend, Ted, Doug, Chris, inoffensive, just old school. You don't get any pedophile jokes, any of that sort of stuff. So you're okay.
But we wouldn't be here without Mobs, and therefore he has a lot to answer for.
Pretty much the Roy's what you described. Royals, you got Filth and you got Noobsaw. Oh, Noobsaw. And the Filth. Let go.
Well, Filth, I'm sure he could be a good bloke, but he needs to stop putting all his eggs in a certain basket of a certain bloke on his team. He's let him down over and over, but he seems to keep going back to him. If he can get over that, he'd be a decent captain, but until then, he's shit house, and Noobsaw's just a dog. So
That's actually, I retract my previous statement about how well the Royals are going. I think Noobsaw hasn't been seen for a while, so it's a sad state of affairs.
Demons, Captain Menangatang and VC's Yaka.
Oh, Mang is a legend. I don't know much about Yaka, but yeah, Mang's a legend, should be admin, but instead, I don't know whether it was equal opportunity or not, but natural dumbass got on there, but it should have been Menangatang.
But have you not noticed that Menangatang he hasn't had much influence this season, though? Like, you don't see him about.
Well, he knows it's a load of
Why would
shit
he bother?
because if a bloke like Natural Disaster can get an admin in front of him, then why should he bother?
So you reckon he's sooking?
He's not sucking, but what's the point? You got an absolute moron like Natural Disaster running the league, and you got a bloke there that'll put, all his time into it with some smart stuff, not the shit that Natural Disaster puts up. So I don't blame him for taking a back seat now.
Don't you reckon he should try and keep some presence, though, just so that he can, become the next admin?
Well, the league dogged him like Noobs or dogged us, so, there's only so many doggings he can take.
What about you, Blacky? What do you think?
Oh, I think Mang is an absolute legend. Yaka, would be a bottom 5 addition to the boys' club, just solely for the fact he didn't actually want to be there. One certain redhead just added him without asking anyone, including Yaka, and he lasted about 5 minutes because I think it was a little bit too raw for him.
Was Yaka the flathead bloke?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that changes my opinion on Yaka then. But we'll leave it at that for now.
All right, let's go for Hawks. You got Chipmunk and Agent 93 are both captains, so they've apparently got 2 heads.
Chipmunk's got his name mentioned
Jesus.
twice, so he'll be up and about. Agent 93, no idea. So, I don't really get into the Hawks match threads too much. So.
Yeah. That's a side Natural Dumbass fell in too.
No, well, he's definitely improved them, hasn't he?
Hey, all right, the Rats. You got Phil Rich as the captain and Jackster 83 as the VC.
Don't know either of them. I know Phil Rock. He's okay at times, but I haven't really had much to do with him. I don't know the other bloke, but
He's the king of the dad joke, isn't he?
Yeah,
Oh, is
that's
he?
it.
Oh,
Phil
okay.
Rich.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that tells you a bit about the Rats profile. Dragons. You got Serial Thriller and you got A Swallow.
Blacky.
Oh, Serial Thriller is obviously a pretty decent newish poster. I don't know much about Ace Swallow at all. It's probably more of a reflection on me than it is on him. So good on him.
And Serial Thriller's the Futurama bloke, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, and he's good.
Can you read or can you just look at pictures?
Mate, just fucking wind your neck in, all right? Yeah, the other bloke I'm not too sure, but yeah, Serial Thriller, he puts a bit of quality up. I just noticed. Fry, isn't it? Yeah, Fry. So,
Jesus.
Is Serial Thriller
Fry.
is Serial Thriller in the BC?
I wouldn't know.
Not that I'm aware of, but the way
I suspect that I think
people,
there's probably been a few additions
Yeah.
since we exited stage left, to be honest, mate. They probably tried to fill the hole, that Miggs left, and you probably need
big
30,
hole.
40 bodies.
Yeah, be a big hole. What about Bears? You got MWPP and Metal Crusher as the VC.
I like Metal Crusher. He was at the Bombers last year.
Well, you would. He's going to be the Bombers captain next year, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, is that public knowledge or is it? What is
it? Yeah, pretty well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, it is now. Welcome aboard. And MWPP, or whatever her name is, haven't had much to do with her. But yeah. I know Blacky holds her in high regard, so I'll leave it to Blacky.
I think you couldn't find two people who are probably more different than each other in real life, but somehow they make it work. Crush is the definition of a guy who is much different in PM than he is on the board, not in a bad way. He gets it, I think.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I've had some PMs in metal, and he's a good guy, he says what he thinks. So
he's a ripper bloke, and he loves the league. So, and like Blackie says, he gets it. That's the best part.
Yeah, totally.
Not too many out there that actually get it. So
Warriors, you got Injury Factory and VC's Harry 000.
Is that Harry?
Yeah,
Harry 007. Is he actually
who you said was in the BC?
Well, he was probably the death of the BC, to be honest. Injury Factory, he was quality a couple of years back. A couple of seasons back. I haven't been following it too much the last season or two, but he's obviously a quality poster. I'm not too sure how he's going recently, but Harry's an absolute fuckhead. So,
tell us what you really think.
Why do you hate him, Mix?
I just don't like the way he goes about things.
Anything specific you want
to share? I love it. Okay, let's get back onto the Bombers then. More territory, Blue Vein and Kilroy.
Who the fuck's Kilroy?
Do you want to tell him, Mix?
I don't even know who Kilroy is. Who's Kilroy?
He's the VC.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen him much, but I know Blue Vein. So
isn't this your team?
Yeah, but
Blue Vein's enough for both of them.
Blue Vein's
the man.
Yeah.
Kilroy's now curled up in a fetus position under the table, sucking his thumb.
Noob's always trying to find his location.
I didn't say pacifier. So anyway, Gumby's captain, Barry Brand, and they don't have a VC.
That's all you need to know, really. Barry Brand, he's okay. Yeah. Look what he's working with. That's all I'll say.
I think that club got fucked by Quigley.
The greatest captain I've ever had.
He pretty much chased that club with a $50 note yelling oi.
Oi!
Yeah, it's a long way back from where they were. So Barry Brand's got his work cut out for him.
All right. Well, thanks, gentlemen. I feel like we've made up, and I think we've, dispelled the whole issue with Neebsall.